we already discussed this. And as we mentioned, it says in the Torah, Elohim said, let there be light, and there was light. Where did the light come from? It didn't need to come from any place. It was inherent in the very creation of the world. Because light is a divine presence. Afterwards, it was camouflaged, so to speak, concealed, that primary light, so that it becomes more like a world level light. It has a luminary, a physical luminary, a sun, a moon, a light. But even after that, after it has been invested in the sun and the moon, our experience of light is not the ray of the sun. It's all-encompassing. Because this light, what's called the light of the first day of creation, that light has been then invested into the sun. The reason it was invested in the sun is in order to maintain a worldly presence. If we would see the light coming from nowhere, from a godly presence, then we would cease to relate to world as world. But the Rebbe wants that we should relate to world as world.
Where is the bittul here? How does this come out of bittul?
When you experience something without being aware that you're experiencing something, and you're participating in it, and you know this is not you, how do you experience, how do you participate in it? By bittul, by saying, okay, this is what it is, this is the reality, and I'm part of it. This is where you give up your own individuality.
Mm-hmm.
Without bittul, you would not be able to recognize it even. And the Rebbe says that the inherent bittul that permeates the entire creation is actually a reflection of the bittul of the beginning of the entire intent for creation, which is called Tzir Koima Diak. Adam Kadmon means the pristine man. That was the first sense, the first idea on the godly level to create. In that first idea, everything that ultimately revealed itself was contained. That first idea is something which represents the versatility and the greatness of the divine presence itself. This was not come to be as a result of in the worldly experience. Like we said several times over these days, whatever we encounter in the world, and it seems to us we encounter it in the world because, practically speaking, the world needs it. In reality, all that is really a revelation of that which was conceptualized in Shir Koima Diak. Adam Kadmon. In this conceptualization, divine conceptualization of Adam Kadmon, or pristine man, everything that constitutes and that complements a worldly presence was already contained therein. Let us step in a little deeper into this. God wanted that there be a worldly presence, and that we should know of him through worldly process. And what's behind this desire? It is to present to the world his grace. There's no other way to give it. You're worldly, and in your capacity as a worldly presence, you begin to understand that you have actually something which is super worldly. And you appreciate the super worldly quality from within the worldly status. So the Rebbe says, the second line from Kuf Nun Hey. Excuse me. Even as it is in the element of Yudiyah, knowledge of Bechira and choice, and choice, which we discussed. Now, despite the fact that the Rebbe knows all human interests and pursuits, yet when a person identifies these pursuits, his experience is that this is his own identification, identifying quality, and this is his own choice. So that he's going there on his own recognizance. Clearly, this Bechira quality gives a person a fundamental sense of self. Although everything that you chooses has been pre-identified for you. You cannot choose that which was not previously identified. But he is not aware of that. To him, this is his own identifying quality. This is the infinite here. K'moi Kain, at the end of the second line. K'moi Kain, likewise, who the similar thing is in the phenomenon, Behabitul in the area of beetle. And we already started talking about beetle. In a nutshell, beetle is a reality where there is the creation, or every individual entity, a creature in this creation, is an entity quite well aware of itself. At the same time, it is sensing itself to be completely one with the divine reality. This is a fundamental beetle. No one claims he's alive. He doesn't see how life comes to him. He doesn't claim that the life is something which is self-creating. He receives this life, but is not aware of the receiving process, because he receives it in a manner where he's completely encompassed in it. He's not even aware that there are two stages here, getting it and not having it, because he's completely embraced by it.
That's the meaning of bittul, this complete embrace.
No. The meaning of bittul is that you are a non-entity. So how do you? And because you're not an entity, therefore you become embraced. And this beetle Rebbe says, this is something which we're not fully aware of. Tzir means because in Ak Odom Kadmon, at the beginning of creation, the creation has been projected by the Creator. And in that projection, everything that eventually surfaced was already contained in that projection. But we have to understand, this projection is still within the divine realm. Therefore, everything that projected therein is of a divine quality. What is the divine quality? We already discussed, and that's what we are done. Divine quality means this is not something that's being created from not being. This is revealing the reality of the divine reality itself. That sense of the divine reality is sensed in the world. And therefore, the world is not really a separate entity from its divine perception. And yet, the world is a Metzius. And this is where we're coming right? On the third line from the bottom. And this is a beetle. Beetle means that he's completely united with that which perceives him.
Which? What's the word?
Divine, that which perceives him. But this perception, as it is projected by Odom Kadmon, by the divine presence in the world, is not at all sensed in the Nivroim. The Nivroim do not sense where they get this type of aggrandizement of their supreme truth. Let me explain that. Having said this one, the Nivro does not, even though we are very vulnerable, at every level, physically and spiritually, we do not at all sense this vulnerability. To us, in our perception, this is a fundamental reality. It is ours. The reason it is so fundamental reality in which it's ours is, yes, even though it's definitely a divine gift, but we accept it without any precondition. We accept it in beetle. We become one with it. This is the beetle. And this beetle comes because of Tzir Komediak. What does it mean, Tzir Komediak? Because it was preconceived before it came into being. And everything that came into being is the result, a draw from that preconception. And thus, every creature has this beetle, this complete unification with that which preconceived it. And yet, okay, now we're continuing on the fourth line. At the end, it is conceivable that in one's own choice, choosing of his path of life, it actually, in his own choice, he should perceive and decide in the opposite direction. Such that he would become nifrad, separated totally from Malakus, from godliness. Rachmana litzlan, he should be saved from that. Let me explain the term Rachmana litzlan. Rachmana litzlan means Rachmana, the loving Father in heaven should save us from this. Why do you need to be? What's so concerned? Why are you so concerned that you need help from Rachmana to help you that he should not fall, that he should not be nifrud? This is a reality. This hits home. the principle. Huh?
What's the reality? That he isn't?
And he is one with the Elohus.
Okay, fine. Yeah.
But you need a special prayer. Oh yes, you should be saved from that. But you need to be saved from your own reality. And this is what we say. When it comes to the principle of the Bechira process, because the human being was provided with a full sense of self, to the extent, like we spoke about before, about breathing. Breathing is something which takes place unawares of the creature. If he so wishes, he can distract himself from that gift of breathing and start studying, how do I breathe? He starts paying attention to each breath, and then his breathing is going to be pained, and it's going to be difficult, and ultimately he's going to lose interest in breathing itself. I think I told you the story of the Ibn Ezra. Who's repeating again? The Ibn Ezra was, it was a giant, one of the greats. The story is, to give you the complete perspective, the Ibn Ezra was very poor. His father-in-law was a capable man to help him, and he helped him out all the time. The Ibn Ezra would say to his father-in-law, I have a mazel that's a negative mazel. There's no way that I should succeed in the Gashmizik world. The father-in-law took him seriously. I said, let me test it out. Let me see what kind of mazel, where is he missing in the mazel. So I said his father-in-law had means. So then, when the Ibn Ezra was walking, he had to walk a certain distance, from his home to Shula, whatever it is. On the way there, when the Ezra must pass through, he put a little treasure down on the ground in a very obvious manner, so that it's impossible to miss it. Okay? Here is going to be a test, and here I'm going to remove from him the sense that he is poor. He's going to have a good resource. The Ibn Ezra walks up of his home, and he is constantly contemplating his divine experiences. So he starts contemplating, what is this experience I'm going through? I'm going out of my house, and I'm able to walk without any fear. I'm walking in no man's land. How do I do that? The reason I'm able to do this is because I have eyes, and I'm able to see ahead of myself, and therefore I can avoid all blocks and so forth, all obstacles. And as he's walking, he says, what a gift the Rebbe had given us, the gift of sight. To appreciate the gift of sight, I have to experiment what would be if I did not have it. So he says, not him, you're surprised, I can experiment it. Close your eyes. So he closes his eyes and starts walking the way. On this path, his father-in-law has put a little torture on the side that you cannot miss as you pass it by. As the Ibn Ezra starts walking, and he's now walking with closed eyes in account of his own cheshbeis and what it is, he bypasses the treasure. So then his father-in-law says, now I see what you said, claim all the time, that you have a muzzle against acquiring any worldly possession. This was mamash completely contrary to what should have been.
This is from Rahman al-Islam.
Rahman al-Islam is saying that it is possible to have your full, all of your faculties and all capabilities, and yet you would miss it. The mission could be coming from all kinds of different directions. This is what Rahman al-Islam is. Rahman al-Islam, a person, it's possible for a person in this world, because of the completeness of the creation in the human being. When the human being is a complete world unto himself, it is possible for him to be completely unaware of the greater reality that is part of godliness. And sense that he is actually, his first resource is himself. It's a very great resource, but it's not godliness. It is possible for him, by direct personal choice, to be completely devoid and separated from Malakus. Rahman al-Islam. And here is where we say, Rahman al-Islam, you have to be safe from that, because this possibility is very real. If a person would focus on his own experiences, on his own accomplishments, it is possible for him, for his mind to be turned in a direction that he would actually lose connection to Elokus. And the only protection against that is Rahman al-Islam. The Rebbe Shari saves us from that piece of folly. I want to elaborate on this. It's really mind-boggling. In our own perception, we are really standalone entities. We stand on our own feet. We provide for ourselves. And all that comes with it. At the same time, think about it. There's a certain element that we accept from the bigger reality without even contemplating what it is, without even demanding. I be aware of what's being fed into me. What's light? What's air? It is natural for the human, the intelligence is, what are you giving you? What are you feeding you? And yet there is that element, the inherent beetle, that one is a certain direction, a certain level, he does not go. He does not examine it. This is the way it is. And this is the way it is the element of beetle to Elokus. And this is the way it is, and this is beetle to Elokus. I think we need some elaboration. Because at first glance and the superficial view, one could say, when you say this is the way it is, it's not due to the fact that I recognize its truth and I accept it as such. I have no choice. I have no choice. So since I have no choice, for my own benefit, for my own well-being, I'm going to ignore the question of where it comes from. And I'm just going to go with it, go with the flow. However, this is the primary difference between the human being and all other creatures. All other creatures receive their highest, their sustenance, in this manner, where I don't know where it's coming from, and it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really propose a question. If I don't have a choice, that's what I'm going to have. A human being is different. The horse follows directions of its master. And lahavdil, a human being, an Eved, follows these two seemingly similar performances are very different. Very different. The horse.
Mute your phone, Shlomo.
The horse follows the direction of its master without even contemplating should I or should I not. He's not an entity outside beside the mattress, the master. His beetle, so to speak, is not a beetle of liberal awareness of beetle. His one thing is he has absolutely no beginning of making a choice. A human being is different. A human being is self-conscious. He is aware that he has a master. And if he is going to obey his master, it's because he obeys the master. Therefore, if the human being has a sense of beetle to the reality, to the divine reality, that sense of beetle to divine reality has gone through an intellectual process in the human being. He did not follow through it in the same way as the lahavdil horse follows the command of his rider.
Avrom, can you mute your phone, please?
Yes, sir.
This is why I point out all the time. You wake up in the morning. You ought to really reflect on this. Wake up in the morning, we slept the whole night. Wake up from sleeping. We have no idea at that moment what world we'll be in. And yet, we can readily say, where do we get this consciousness to say, we have not yet get oriented in the world that we woke up to. This Moide Anel Lefonecha is the divine gift to the human being. That even though he's a creation like all other creatures in the world, but he was created differently. He was given a sense of personal presence. I woke up into the big world. I'm not part of the big world. I'm a separate entity. And therefore, the fact that I'm aware of the big world, you have returned my soul to me and made me aware of it. This awareness came to me not by experimentation, not by experience. It came to me by divine gift. This is the Moed Anel Lefanecha. There was a whole big sikha from Rebbe on Moed Anel Lefanecha one time. Among the things that the Rebbe said that stayed in my memory for that moment, that the Rebbe, that he said Moed Anel Lefanecha, that you have returned, restored my soul into me. So the Rebbe there was really focusing on every conjugation of the words. It doesn't say Shechazarta bi neshama. He gave me back my neshama because when I was asleep, I was not lying, and now he gave me back my life. So it's not Shechazarta bi nishmosi. You restored to me my soul. A Yid does not appreciate just being alive. He wants to know that this is his soul. This is his soul with his mission in life and so forth. All that comes to him at the moment when he wakes up. This kind of awareness at the moment of waking up is a divine effect. We're not as much as aware of this, but this is what's taking place in a person's mind. Lahavdil, the animal wakes up and the human being wakes up. The animal wakes up and so we're only the fact that he's hungry. The human being wakes up, he wakes up to a whole big world. And he's immediately conscious and understands and knows where he is. Instantaneously. This is because this knowledge, his awareness is given to him by the Meibus.
Can I ask a question about this?
Yes, just 1 second. This is an element that's called beetle. Because this primary awareness, without any contemplation, even though he's an intelligent person, this beetle is not. We have to distinction between this beetle and the beetle of the animal. The animal is not aware that he is giving anything up. The human being is aware. There's something greater than myself occurring right here. And he doesn't even examine it. This is something which is primarily inserted into my mind. This is a divine gift to the human being, so that he would be able to function in the world and not feel that he's in a strange place. Yes.
So I don't get how this goes with that it's Loy b'murgush, she'ena b'murgush. So rak she'ena murgush habitl. He's
It's not murgash. He does not sense that this is something which is given to him from another source. Something which he identifies on himself.
That's a question.
So in other words, he senses it, but he doesn't sense that he's being given it.
That's right. That's right. Phenomenal thing.
Uh-huh.
He senses it because he's an intelligent. I'm able to discern what I have, but it's my possession.
The animal doesn't sense it at all.
That's right.
So this is what means that mitzat in the Mamer it says that mitzat tzir de koime da'ak, there is the bittul, but it's animal.
1 second, we have to repeat.
Shekola says like shekola nevruam betailim mitzat tzir koime da'ak.
We have a cough. We have a living human being over here. Sometimes they cough, and the cough camouflages your voice. So therefore, you have to speak up a bit. Go ahead.
It says shekola nevruam betailim mitzat betzir v'chenes tzir koime da'ak. And the other hand it says, but ein ze mirgesh kral benevrum.
That's right.
How does it go? Are the nevrum betailim?
Oh, the Nevoim are betailim, but they're not margish that this bittul comes to them from Tzir Koime Da'ak. They're absolutely bottle. But they're margish, as we said before. They're in their senses that this is what they are. This is not something that's being given to them from a higher source.
And when we speak about the nevrum, we mean the human being or in general the bria?
No, we're talking about the human being. Other animals don't have haggis to begin with.
Now it's 7:25.
Okay, so just want to, it came to me, I have to, Tzir Koime Da'ak means the sense that a person has Tzir Koime Da'ak in the pshat, that he senses that he's part of a greater reality. And that this greater reality is not just because there is no discernment of markers, but this is something which is being provided from a higher source, which is Tzir Koime Da'ak. Because of this sense that is provided from a higher source, this is why a person has a sense of respect, of self-respect. Where are you? What environment are you performing in? From a personal experience, what's the difference in your own home or in the street? The difference is in the street, you're relating to a bigger reality. You're not in your own private home. This sense of being a bigger reality, this is that you're part of this of the bigger reality. In other words, as we said before, it's not just self-consciousness. This is out of respect. You don't go out not properly clad in the street, but out of respect for the street.
In this case, the street, it means bigger reality,
The bigger
not
reality.
after belt.
That's right. So this is it, right? Okay, this is it.
And we don't know where it's coming from. This is it, and we don't know where it's
We
coming
don't know
from.
where it's coming from. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.